The Han School of Kung Fu, located in Beijing, China, is a renowned kung fu academy for young students, run by Mr. Han. A young girl warns Mr. Han that the scary-looking doctor has arrived, and he orders her to stall. In the meantime, another student warns Lee that his mother is here. Lee's mother talks to Mr. Han, who is also her uncle. She tells him that they will be moving to New York. He expresses his concerns and tells her that Lee is growing up well in this environment, but she refuses to lose another one of her children to the world of violence and walks away. Lee overhears this and chases after his mother. He tries to argue the decision, but she doesn't give him a choice. They arrive in the city and head to their new apartment in Chinatown. Lee explores the city at night looking for something to eat. He walks around until he reaches a New York pizzeria. He tries to order a stuffed crust pizza but is laughed at until Mia comes around apologizing for her father, Victor. She takes his order and welcomes him to the city. The next day, his mother goes through his route to school, making sure he doesn't get lost. He rushes over to his new school, and Ms. Morgan shows him around. Lee does his best to adjust to the new environment and successfully finishes his first day. On the way back, he runs into Mia struggling with some supplies for her restaurant. He reacquaints himself. Because he's got nothing to do, he offers to help her with the rest of her deliveries. They walk past a karate studio and he stops and stares, prompting Mia to ask if he used to study it. He tells her that he used to study kung fu, but not anymore. Their conversation is interrupted by the owner of the studio, O'Shea, asking about Victor. They walk off, and she tells Lee that her father owes him some money and to watch out when he's in that area. After their last stop, Lee offers to teach Mia Mandarin so that she can get better discounts in Chinatown, and she agrees to show him the city. On Sunday, they go around the city, visiting the main attractions on her scooter until it breaks down. They take the subway home and are approached by her ex-boyfriend, Connor. Connor is a karate prodigy in the city and is aggressive towards Lee for hanging out with Mia. They try to walk by Connor to get off, but he sucker punches Lee, leaving a black eye. They stop by Mia's restaurant and she asks Victor to cover it up with makeup. Victor was a big-time boxer in the past and he had to learn to cover up his bruises. Lee's mother uncovers the black eye and wakes him up. She tells him to keep his promise of no fighting and to follow her. They head to the library and meet Alan, an SAT tutor she hired for him. Alan asks if Lee's mother gave him the black eye for not studying, worried about what might happen to him if Lee doesn't get good scores. At school the next day, Connor calls him out after school and bullies him. Lee pushes him away, sparking a fight. Connor is cocky and fights with his hands in his pocket. Lee attacks and Connor dodges everything he throws at him. Lee remembers his older brother's move, the dragon kick. He attempts it, but Connor counters by knocking him to the ground before the teachers come and break them up. Connor tells him to sign up for the city's fight tournament, the 5 Boroughs, so that they can fight for real. Lee promised his mother no fighting but takes a flyer for the tournament before heading home. Lee heads over to Mia's restaurant and sees the broken scooter. He tries to fix it to surprise her when a couple of thugs approach. Victor walks out at the same time and the thugs change their target to him. These thugs work for O'Shea and are there to get money from Victor. A thug smacks Victor in the head from behind and knocks him out. Lee tries to approach but a thug pushes him away. Lee unleashes his training and starts fighting all 3 of them. Lee starts flying around the alley, taking them out one by one until they give up and run out of there. Victor and Lee recover inside the restaurant, and Victor asks about Lee's training. He asks Lee to train him so that he can win some money in an upcoming fight. Victor was the best in the city. When Mia was born, he gave up the gloves for an apron. Victor begs Lee to teach him kung fu, but he declines. Lee calls Mr. Han for some wisdom. He asks if he should teach kung fu to a friend. Mr. Han tells him that if teaching kung fu can help someone with their life, then it'll be a good thing for him and for Lee. He goes to Victor and agrees to train him. They start with a quick sparring session. Lee tells Victor to hit him. Victor is surprised because he is twice his body weight but can't land a single hit on Lee. Mia walks in and yells at them for training in the restaurant. She criticizes Victor's decision to fight at his age but calms down and lets him fight after Lee promises he won't get hurt. Lee goes through the basics with Victor and makes him do everyday tasks with extra focus and determination. Lee teaches him to perform a 1-inch punch, and after a couple of tries, Victor gets the technique down. Lee helps Victor become more fluid like a stream instead of hard like a rock. A couple nights before Victor's fight, Lee unleashes his stress on the punching bag in the restaurant. Victor walks in and asks what's on his mind. Lee opens up about his brother's death. His brother had won a big kung fu tournament, and that night the runner-up attacked them. Lee and his brother fought them off but were outnumbered when one of the attackers came at them with a knife. His brother yelled for help, but Lee froze, and his brother was murdered. Victor tells him to not blame himself and move on, or the past will eat him alive. Mia and Lee prepare for Victor's fight in his locker room. They head to the ring and walk past O'Shea in the crowd. They exchange words about Victor's death before he ends up in the ring. The fight begins, and Victor lands a strong punch, but his opponent hits him back. The opponent lands more punches and seems to have the upper hand until Victor lands a 1-inch punch, giving him some needed motivation. Victor uses everything he learned from Lee to dodge the opponent's attacks. O'Shea gets nervous and signals the opponent to hit him with an illegal blow. The referee tries to stop the fight, but the opponent pushes through and knocks him out, almost killing him. They rush to the hospital and Lee starts having flashbacks to when his brother died. His mother is working that night and she does her best to stabilize him. She confronts Lee asking how he knew Victor and Lee tells her the truth. She is dumbfounded and heads back to check up on Victor. Lee gets depressed. Mia is ignoring him and even Mr. Han is not available for a phone call. One night, he walks into his apartment and he sees a window open. He looks around cautiously and then gets attacked by an unknown assailant. The attacker is skilled in kung fu like him and pins Lee against the wall. He uses his body to flicker the lights, and then Lee realizes that it's Mr. Han. They pretend like nothing happened when his mother walks in. She asks why he's here, and he tells her he had a feeling it was a good time. Mr. Han enters Lee's room and tells him that they will be visiting Victor tomorrow, and to tidy up the room. Lee and Mr. Han enter Victor's hospital room. Mia leaves and ignores Lee. He apologizes to Victor, but Victor doesn't blame him. Even though Victor is losing his restaurant, he looks at the positive and tells Lee he wouldn't mind someplace warm. Mr. Han hears how kind Victor is and tells him an old Chinese proverb, "My friend's problem is my problem," and Lee and Mr. Han get to work. Mr. Han tells Lee to find a place to train in 2 days, while he visits an old friend. Mr. Han arrives in California and enters an empty home. He walks around and pays his respects to an old man on the wall. This old man is Mr. Miyagi, a respected karate teacher and his old friend. The owner of the house, Daniel, walks in and questions his presence. Daniel tells him Mr. Miyagi passed a few years ago, but Mr. Han tells him he is looking for Daniel, his best student and best friend. Daniel tells Mr. Han that he can't go to New York, but Mr. Han just smiles and tells him he will. Lee informs Alan of his dilemma. He needs a place to train, and Alan has an idea. He takes Lee to his rooftop garden and gives him full access to it. Mr. Han gets back to New York and wakes Lee up for training. They use what they can to train. Mr. Han builds a log contraption to train Lee's awareness and defense. He also works on the basics like taking his jacket off and on. Connor also trains for the tournament, but his training involves hitting hard and using anger to fuel his strength. Lee continues his training but gets knocked around by the log contraption. He rolls over and lands at Daniel's feet. Lee greets Daniel and Daniel expresses his doubts of mastering karate in a week. Mr. Han says Lee is not a normal student. After a quick demonstration, Daniel gets hope. The first day of the 5 Boroughs tournament begins. The winner is decided by either getting 8 points or knocking out their opponent. 1 point will be granted for body shots and 2 points for any headshots. Lee's first opponent is a large kid who gets a quick point on him, but Lee doesn't back down and knocks him out, advancing towards the next round. Lee keeps training with the 2 teachers. Mr. Han and Daniel have a friendly sparring match to see which style is better, but they end in a tie. Lee finishes his next match easily with a karate block, and Connor also progresses easily. Lee is in the semifinals, and after a few hiccups, he takes over and finishes his opponent, making him advance. O'Shea's thugs are in the audience and try to sabotage Lee. They walk up to hurt him, but Mr. Han and Daniel show why they are masters. They take down the thugs even though they are outnumbered and hurry back home. Lee and the 2 teachers figure out a way to take down Connor. Daniel suggests setting up a trap so that Lee can surprise Connor with a counter and knock him down. Daniel and Mr. Han take turns showing Lee counters by throwing him down over and over. Daniel sees Lee using his brother's move. He suggests using it against Connor, but Lee disagrees, stating that he used it before on Connor and he counter-kicked him in the chest easily. This gives Daniel an idea, and the 3 of them head to the train station. He tells Lee to use the dragon kick, but before the final kick, slide down low to deliver a low sweeping kick. To train the movement, Lee needs to go under the turnstile after his jump. Lee attempts it but bangs his head on the turnstile. They take a break, and Daniel hands Lee an old headband that Mr. Miyagi gave him. It shows a large tree in the center, signifying the past and how Mr. Miyagi's ancestors learned karate and kung fu as one. They keep training until Lee can get the dragon kick dip perfectly. The day of the finals begins and Lee meditates in the waiting area. He is shocked to see his mother come in. At first he thinks he's going to get in trouble, but she offers him support and that his brother would be proud of him. Lee's 2 masters put on Mr. Miyagi's headband and Lee takes the stage. He heads to his corner and Victor roots for him. Connor and Lee meet center stage and the fight begins. Connor gets the first 2 points quickly with a spinning kick to Lee's head. Connor throws Lee around like a rag doll and gets 4 points easily. Lee focuses and regains his balance. He blocks all of Connor's shot and lands a big 1-inch punch on him. Lee lands a couple of hits and finishes with a kick to the head, tying up the score. They go at each other with ferocity, and Lee takes the lead, going up to 7 points. Connor gets angry and lands a huge kick to the back of his head, knocking Lee out. The referee starts counting down. He struggles to get back up, but sees Victor, Mia, Alan, his mother, and a flashback of his dead brother, and at the 9th second, Lee gets the power to get back up. With the scores tied up, the next point landed wins the tournament. Lee attacks with the dragon kick. Connor approaches to counter it like he did at school. Lee gets low and delivers a low kick, throwing him off balance and lands a kick to his chest, winning the tournament. Connor gets angry and charges after Lee. but he counters it and holds a fist to his face. Mr. Han yells at him to restrain himself, and Lee holds back his punch, even bowing to Connor after. Lee hugs everybody and gets a kiss from Mia. Victor separates them and holds him up in the air.